morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. A couple of months ago in November, I last spoke at a Metals Investor Forum. At that time, we were just finished with a drill program at our MPD copper gold porphyry project in British Columbia. Now, 2 months later, we recently had the results. We were very fortunate and were able to announce a discovery in January, and I will tell you more about this in this presentation. This is an overview of our portfolio. We own 3 copper porphyry projects. All of them are 100%. All of them are advanced stage exploration projects, so it's not greenfield, not the really high-risk exploration, end of the exploration scale continuum. They are all previously drilled. All of our projects, we know there is copper. It's not about finding copper, it's about finding more copper. And all of our projects have a large footprint and real size potential. Copper porphyries, by their natures, are large projects. That's why we like them. If we are successful, these projects have the potential to be large deposits and of interest for a major copper producer. So the projects we own, starting in the middle, the MPD project, Southern British Columbia, that's our most advanced project. That's the project we drilled in November and where we discovered the new gate zone. At the bottom, Mojave is a copper porphyry project in Arizona, also a very established copper district. It has equally as much discovery potential as MPD does, and it's the second project on our list, which we will also drill this summer. And last but not least, at the top, Trapper, that's also a copper gold porphyry, is an interesting project in its own right, and that's the joker in our back pocket. Why do we like copper? Copper really is all about the green revolution. Anything that has the word green in its name requires a lot of copper, whether that's electric vehicles that use up to 10 times the amount of copper than a conventional vehicle, whether it's solar and wind, 4 to 6 times as much copper as the conventional energies they replace. So if you believe in the growth of these industries, these green technologies, then there is just a lot of copper demand coming our way. And if you look at the flip side, the copper supply, the picture is very different. There are many, many mines that are coming to the end of their life, that are declining in production, declining in grade, and the pipeline of new copper projects is at an all-time low at this time. This is the supply forecast by Wood Mackenzie, a very well-respected consultancy. Many analysts forecast a very similar picture. They see a supply-demand gap of 5 million tons coming up in a market of just over 20 million tons, so a very significant supply-demand gap, and higher copper prices will be needed to fill this gap. And I can tell from my own experience, all the major copper producers are really looking for good new projects. Before I dive into our projects, a couple of words about the team behind. The founder and chairman of Dunnedin is Chris Taylor, whom many of you know from our sister company, the other company he has founded, which is Great Bear, which is one of the great exploration successes in the last 2 years, one of the best performing companies in Canada on the TSX venture. Chris, many people think of him as a gold guy because Great Bear is a gold discovery, but his first love is actually copper. He started his career as a geologist at Imperial Metals and explored for copper porphyries in North America for 10 or so years. So he really, really knows copper porphyries. And Chris covers the technical side on management side. Myself, my background is I was with Rio Tinto for many years, worked also on some of their largest copper projects, Escondida, the world's largest copper mine, or Oyu Tolgoi. My background is more in the business, financial, commercial, and that's of the side I cover. Last but not least, John Robbins, a very important part of the team. John is an advisor and large shareholder, and John has put together the Discovery Group of companies. You see here all the members of the Discovery Group. Discovery is a loose alliance of companies. We all share an office, and there are a couple of very, very big, successful companies in there. For example, Bluestone Resources or Great Bear. You might have heard of Fireweed Zinc. So we, Dunnedin, we are one of the smaller members of the group, but for us, being part of a strong group is invaluable. It gives us access to expertise, technical people, access to capital, contacts. We're a lot stronger being part of this group than we would be if we were just out there by ourselves. MPD, that's the project we drilled. That's where we made a discovery. Here is the location. It's a great neighborhood. MPD is located right between two of Canada's largest copper mines, Highland Valley in the north, Copper Mountain in the south. It's a great neighborhood, very established copper producing belt, lots of other projects, lots of mines. So very good place to be. What I'd also highlight in this slide is we have a very large land holding that's consolidated from 3 smaller projects that have been explored for decades, since the 60s, but nobody in recent decades ever had the entire package, which we now have. And that's also a great start to really create value from this project. This is a zoom in on the claim holdings. And the key point to take away is it's very accessible and really close to all the infrastructure. You see at the top Highway 97, you see at the bottom Highway 5, both less than a kilometer away. There are lots of logging roads that go right onto the property, so you can literally pack the drill rig on the back of the truck and drive right to the drill pad. That means for us, our drill dollars, exploration dollars, go a long way. It's very cost effective to explore. And it also means, looking down the road for the project, the hurdle this project will have to take to eventually become economic is much lower than a project would have to take if it was further north or more remote. So I can't emphasize enough how important this location it is. It was for us one of the key points why we bought this project, why we really like it. As I said, MPD has been explored since the 60s by various different companies at various different times. You see some of the drill results on this slide. I won't bore you with the details. Key to take away is a lot of drilling has taken place, 129 holes. A lot of copper and gold has been found. Some of these intercepts are quite respectable, have grades that are very comparable to the mines next door. And the key to understand is all of these holes are very shallow. Why is that? In the 60s, 80s, 90s, that was what people did. When you drilled for porphyries, you drilled down 80 meters, 100 meters, maybe 200 meters. All of these results, all of these holes are only down to 200 meters at the maximum. And it's only in recent times that exploration for porphyries looks deeper. As an example, there's a company called GT Gold, one of our peers, who's very, very successfully exploring for a porphyry project in northern British Columbia. They drill down to 1,500 meters, 1.5 kilometers. And what we have here is all holes only to 200 meters. Almost all holes, because then in 2013, something very interesting happened. Previous owner of the project, for the first time, drilled deeper. And what did they find? They found some very good porphyry mineralization. And we saw those holes when we acquired the project and really liked them. What happened to the previous company in 2013? That was in the middle of the downturn. They were funded for their one drill program. They drilled 2 deep holes and ran out of money, couldn't raise further money in the downturn, and ended up not continuing, and we were able to pick up the project. so their bad luck, our good luck. This zone where they drilled for the first time 2 deeper holes was exactly where we drilled in our exploration program in November. And this is what we found. So we drilled 3 holes, small initial program, and number 3 hole was a real winner. You see it there on the left. It's by far and away the best hole ever drilled on the property. It was down to 800 meters and was mineralized top to bottom. It ended in mineralization. The overall intercept is this one here, 763 meters of 0.28% copper equivalent. To put that into perspective, the neighboring mines, their reserve grades are 0.23% copper and 0.3% copper for Copper Mountain, Highland Valley, respectively. So that's right around in that ballpark. But what's really important and was a real game changer for the project is we found much higher grades, long intercepts of higher grades. For example, this one, 102 meters of 0.68% copper equivalent, or just above, 200 some meters of 0.52% copper equivalent. So these are much higher grades than have ever been drilled before on the property over any significant length, and also much higher grade than what you see in the mines in the area. And that really kicked the door very wide open. What I mean with this, it kicked the door wide open, is you see here the entire property, 10 square kilometers of previously drilled area with great geophysical anomalies. This area has all been drilled only to 200 meters. There have been 4 deeper holes, the ones that were drilled in 2013, and our 2 deep holes, all of them intercepted good porphyry mineralization, and particularly our discovery hole, great grades. So now we've got our work cut out. We have all this area with another 129 holes that proved copper and gold near surface, and we will pick the best targets in this area, in this large area, for our next drill program, which will come up very soon, and poke some deeper holes and see what we can find. So it's a great opportunity. Our VP Exploration said to me last week, unlikely that with our first program, we drilled our best hole. I like that quote. I thought that's a good way of looking at it. It's obviously exploration, there's risk. We won't know what we drill until we drill it, but there's a lot of potential and a lot of opportunity. I can't wait to be back on the ground in May, June, as soon as the snow is gone. This is just a summary of our work program. So MPD will be the main focus of our work. We'll do a bit of geophysics and do our technical homework in March, April, and then drill May, June. So result to come in July or August, and then more drilling. We'll be able to drill throughout the year. And then Mojave, our project in Arizona, we also have a little program planned in the late summer. So more news from there. Last but not least, capital structure. We are at the moment 11 million market cap. As Chen said, we have announced a financing of $3 million that we're in the final stages of, and that will fund all the drill work that I've talked about. And we will also rename the company to Kodiak Copper Corp. That will happen in the next couple of weeks. And we picked the name really to honor Chris Taylor, our chairman, and his amazing success with Great Bear. Kodiak, as I'm sure many of you know, that's a type of bear. So that's why we picked that name. And Chris and I, we now have in the office our little friendly competition who will make their bear the bigger and more successful company. Thank you.